How is it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Between Two Cars. Well, between one car, aside one car, next to one car, the one and only Mustang. As you guys can see, I am in the middle of working on it. I actually pulled the Whipple. That video is most definitely not out yet, but I pulled the Whipple. We're going twin turbo. Fun stuff with that. A lot of people are asking why. I will have a video out on that shortly. I've already posted TikToks and Instagram Reels about that, but if you're curious, go look for those. That being said, I am trying to evolve between two cars. I thought when I started this series that I was going to have plenty of content to yap about for days and days and days. It is hard to yap by yourself for 30 minutes, and it is also mentally draining. Just yapping out loud to nobody in particular is pretty exhausting. I kind of want to turn this thing into the one thing I didn't want it to become, and that's a podcast. I don't want it to be like a boring podcast. Like, I don't want it to be like a I'm going to interview a guest podcast. I want to have a co-host and discuss car topics, go back and forth, hot takes, rankings, a lot of the fun stuff. I really got into this one podcast, and I'll drop it. They're much bigger than me, obviously, but it's a nerdier podcast. I like the Escape Pod podcast. It's like the only podcast I've ever actually really watched. I've seen Joe Rogan here and there, but I don't watch podcasts. I don't watch any car podcasts, but I think it would be cool to essentially do what the Escape Pod is doing for Marvel, DC, and Disney and stuff like that, and do that for cars. So, you know, hot takes, car rankings, a lot of the stuff that I already do solo, but do that with another person. That being said, I don't know who to ask to help me out with that. I can either ask someone like just one of my close homies, someone that I can go back and forth with and yap with and shoot content, or I can try to get like a content creator to partner up with me and do this. Don't know which way I want to go. So comment down below what you think, if you think that'd be interesting. And just we could talk car stuff, car news, car events, car agenda stuff, all car stuff. Today, though, we are going to do a classic Between Two Cars episode. I asked you guys on Instagram about 10 minutes ago, so we'll see how many submissions I have. It is kind of late at night. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but I asked you guys for some car hot takes, and I specifically said, no basic bitch shit. I don't want you guys to sit there and say, racers are lame. That's not a hot take. That's just a normal ass take. Nobody's getting heated about that. I want to feel conflicted with what you say. So I'm going to pull out my new Galaxy Z Fold 7. I am an Android boy again. And I am going to read these. And we will see just how hot some of these got. Let's take a look. All right, the first hot take from Yellowman488 says, front-wheel drive cars can be great driving experiences when pushing the car, even when pushing the car. I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people do prefer front-wheel drive cars to rear-wheel drive cars. There is an aspect of having more control, especially when pushing it. You don't have to worry about oversteer or anything like that. Not as much, at least, you know, not like a rear-wheel drive car where you can easily break traction in the rear and go sliding. So I don't necessarily think that's a hot take. I think that's just an opinion. So F. Next one. Mark III Focus RS is still the best looking hot hatch since 2016. Ooh, I might agree with that. I don't know if that's necessarily a hot take, but I do think the Focus RS is one of the best looking inside and outside hot hatches available. I like that. That is a good take right there. I'm trying to think of other ones. I've never been a fan of the eggs. You could argue that some of the newer ones look halfway decent, but I've never been a fan of the eggs. I think straight out of the box, looking at a stock car, you're looking at, the egg. You're looking at the Civic Type R, and we don't like the FK8 too much, at least not compared to a Focus RS. I like that one. That's actually a really good take. That's from Luke Kaivo. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's from Luke. Luke, good take. Good take on that one. The 992 GT3 RS is the worst supercar in its price point. Worst supercar in its price point. I don't think so. I think the simple aspect, I guess you are saying in its price point, because it is priced pretty high. The simple thing that everyone goes to is, look at the Nürburgring times. Look at the Nürburgring times. And although Nürburgring times do kind of show just how capable the car is, that is like the most surface level. You're never going to touch a Nürburgring, and you're never going to even drive it as hard as a Nürburgring driver is. So it is such a surface level. Like, that's like saying, what's the 0 to 60 on this bad boy? It's like, dude, the 0 to 60 on this piece of shit? Oh, it's slow. I guarantee it, because it's not meant for that. But the 60 to 130? Oh, it's a quick car. It's quicker than all of the cars that do 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. It's quicker than all those cars. Maybe at less than 4 seconds, I should say. Less than 3 seconds is a pretty quick car. But when I'm thinking about cars that do 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds, I'm thinking of like a Tesla Plaid, or like some of these really ridiculous cars that just can launch really good. Point is, I don't know if I would call it the worst supercar in its price point. There's got to be something worse, but he might be onto something. I'm not gonna necessarily disagree with him, but I'm not going to agree with him either. I'm in the middle on that one. I don't know supercars in that price point, but I would argue there's probably a Ferrari in that price point that is just lame as hell. So, I don't know. The Ferrari F40 is not better than the F50, and the LaFerrari is overrated. I can agree a little bit with the LaFerrari. I think a lot of people just like it because of like its popularity, like its pop culture stance. The F40 and the F50, I wish he said why. I mean, there's probably just not enough room on the Instagram things, but I wish he explained why. I'm not a huge Ferrari head. A lot of people do overhype the F40. I think the F40 is one of the best looking Ferraris to ever come out. When you see one in person, like, you are like, wow, this is a beautiful car, you know? I don't like the F50 as much. It is definitely a more modern, it looks definitely way more 90s and early 2000s, but it is definitely like a curvier F40. Is it better one way or the other? If you were to ask me right now, how much is an F40, how much is an F50, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. So, I appreciate it, Russian Seth, but I can't tell you one way or another. Comment down below, though. Do you agree with him? Is the F40 just overhyped? All right. From Bernie's Fab. As a Ford guy, I'm tired of seeing coyote swaps in everything. No diversity. Yes and no. I'm not tired of seeing coyote swaps. I'm tired of seeing Ford throw a fucking Whipple on a coyote and calling it something special. I might sneeze right now. I apologize. It passed. Every time Ford, and I talked about this in my Monterey Car Week video, which didn't perform very well on my main channel. Go check it out. I think YouTube is mad at me because they gave me a strike and I was in timeout for 2 weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if the algorithm is working against me right now. That being said, every time Ford comes out with a new Mustang, GT350, Super Snake, whatever it is, and I guess to an extent that is Shelby's company, it's always a Whipple Coyote, a Whipple Coyote, a Whipple Coyote, and like some suspension and a body kit. I don't think coyote swaps have, at least not near me, gotten to the point to where they're super common. I know Alejandro is throwing one in a ZR1, or he already did. I have a coyote swap in this thing, but it's also a Ford, so who really cares? I don't think they're that common just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years. I do think it is a better motor than like an LS3. I think an LS3 is great, and I think you could fit an LS3 in a lot of things, but I do think, bang for your buck, a Coyote is a better motor. I got into, not an argument, but I had a discussion with a guy on TikTok the other day. He was saying how the C6 ZR1 is overrated and garbage, and he admitted in his first comment that, or his first reply, that it was a little bit of clickbait, but come on, bro. Like, rage bait is so lame. It's so boring. But yeah, tired of seeing coyote swaps and everything. I personally haven't seen them yet, but I will say, the Whipples, that's too much. All right. Ben Lamoth's response, he says, clean stock 90s cars are cooler than modded ones. I don't think so. I can understand where you're coming from with this one, but I don't think they're cooler. If I'm in a car meet, or if I'm at a car show, and there is a clean mint original S13, that is cool. 100% that is cool. But if right next to that is a properly modified S13 with like an RB26 tossed in it or something crazy, a 2JZ, that is cooler. I could 100% appreciate a stock 90s car, a low mileage 90s car. I can appreciate it. Like when people see stock Supras, it's cool. I like it. But as for cooler, no. You can make an argument like, you know, stock 90s cars are better than clapped out ones, but I think most people would agree with that. Or stock 90s cars are better than poorly modified ones, yes. Ultimately, if you don't have the money to do it right, just don't do it at all. That's kind of my point of view on that. Oh, here we go. We have a ZR1 ranking, it looks like, or best Corvette ranking. So we have C7 ZR1 is better than the C6 ZR1, but the C6 Z06 is better than the C7 Z06. They're all just so, I don't want to say wildly different cars, because I will say the C7 ZR1 and the C6 ZR1 are very similar. The only one that's kind of oddball or odd man out is the C6 Z06. It's the only naturally aspirated one, but it also had the notorious valve issue. So it's hard to put that above something that is capable of so much horsepower from factory. I don't know too many, I genuinely don't see too many C7 ZR1s, and I don't see people driving them too hard at all, so I can't really put my opinion on that. I think for the price, you can't beat a C6 ZR1. I mean, a C7 ZR1 is cool, but I don't think it's more than double the price. I would not pay $250,000 for a C7 ZR1. I just would not do that. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't remember what their MSRPs were when they came out, but that 250 is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, I could kind of see his point, but I don't think I agree. I would rather have a C7 Z06 than a C6 Z06. I would, personally. For me, I was at a toss-up between C7 Z01 and C6 Z06. Or C7 Z06, my bad. Because they're both supercharged 6.2s. So that's where I was at. All right, next one. This one is from Ivan. It says, stop making your car your personality. And I don't think he's referring to me. I think he's just saying that as a blanket statement to a lot of car guys. And I get it. A lot of people genuinely, if it's not about cars, they have no other personality. Like, a lot of people are surprised when I'm streaming and I'm streaming something like Call of Duty. They're like, whoa, Drew, whoa, you're playing Call of Duty? What the frick, man? What the frick? Yeah, man, I don't live and eat, sleep, and breathe cars 24/7. I love cars. Like, trust me, today was such a fun day for me. I got to work on my car today. I love working on my car. I got to install this intake manifold. I got to remove a bunch of shit from the Whipple kit. I had a lot of fun doing that. But I would be lying to you guys if I told you that that was my only interest in life. Cars are not my only interest in life. I have a lot more other passions. I love firearms. I love video games. I like movies. I really like movies. So I have a lot of other interests. So yeah, but if you're a guy that only eats, sleeps, and breathes cars, you're probably pretty boring. I'm just going to say that. You're probably pretty fucking boring. I like cars, obviously, but you're probably boring, respectfully. No girl's going to like you. I'm just going to say that. MFs who hate on EVs just to hate are fake car guys. There are some pretty cool EVs out there, and that is from Ishandazea. I don't know if I... Dude, your guys' names, I just got to say something. Whatever happened to, like, normal Instagram handles? Ishandazea 07's response. Yes and no. I genuinely have fun driving around electric vehicles. For the most part, I just like that sensation of instant torque. It's so fun driving around a Model 3 Performance. It's so fun driving around a Tesla Plaid. It is fun. They're fun cars. But I personally would not pick one over a gas car. And I think the same thing goes for EV guys that swear that they're better than gas cars. They're not. They're just simply not. You can like them, and I don't care, but you're not going to convince most people that it's a cooler thing because it's quicker off the line or it's quicker in a quarter mile than a stock car for half its price. Like, that's one thing a lot of people argue. Oh, the Tesla Plaid gaps Hellcats. It gaps GT500s, bro. It'll gap your Mustang. It'll gap your little Corvette. A Tesla Plaid is like $120,000. What are you talking? No fucking shit, bro. We talk about cars in that price range, and you're going to have a probably pretty good run in the quarter mile. Let's put a C8 Z06 up against a Tesla Plaid. Yes, it's probably going to win, but it's not going to be that much of a difference. And so what? Like, one of them sounds cool, one of them looks cool, and one of them is just kind of quick. It's really not that impressive. Like, this thing, when it's done with its twin turbo kit, it's going to mollywop Plaids like nothing. Like, I'm going to make more power than a Plaid to the wheels. And someone might say, "Well, from a dig, it's not gonna." It's not a dig car. I didn't build it to win from digs. I built it to win from rolls. I built it to have fun. I'm not gonna have fun in a fucking Tesla going. Well, I will have fun, but I'm not gonna have fun more than a guy doing that in a turbo car. I'm not. That's way more fun. But yeah, if you just hate on EVs just to hate because you're just scared of like electric vehicles, that is stupid. I agree with what he's saying. That is definitely a hot take though, because a lot of car guys are afraid to say that EVs can be cool or can be fun. I should say can be fun. I have yet to see an EV that is truly cool. But maybe there's like a supercar one out there. I'm talking like general normal cars. So yeah. All right. Same guy, Ivan, said, just because it's newer doesn't mean it's nicer. Yes and no. I mean, the only car that comes to mind when I think it's newer and it's not nicer is probably the S650 Mustang. I think the looks look decent, but I think the interior is a massive downgrade. I do not like the interior of that car, so I would say that car is not nicer. I like the S550 interior. I like the digital display on the S550s. It looks fucking cool. I like the screen on the S550. It looks like a normal Mustang just with futuristic technology. I like that. And then you go to the iPad screens in the S650, and I genuinely think that's a downgrade. So I get what he's saying, but like I think for the most part, newer typically does mean nicer. At least when it comes to sports cars. Like when I think of a BMW from 10 years ago and a BMW from now, let's take the M3 from 10 years ago and the M3 now. The M3 now is probably a hell of a lot nicer than the M3 from 10 years ago. They're both good cars, but I mean, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I think I made a pretty good comparison there. All right. Yanni's response is Lexus is underrated. Is that a hot take? I don't think they're overrated for sure. But when I think Lexus, I just think bougie Toyota. And they don't have many cool enthusiast cars. They have a couple. They have the IS 500. They have the they don't have the RCF. What do they have? The Lexus LC 500, the L 500, whatever. But they really don't have that many options. I think if you want like a luxurious daily, I would definitely look at Lexus. 100%, that's what I would look at. They hold their value good. They're good cars. I like Lexus. But I wouldn't know if I'd say they're underrated. I think a lot of people kind of have them fairly rated when it comes to like, I don't know, premium vehicles. When I think of premium brands, I would put Lexus in my top 5 for sure. So, all right, here we go. From One Sick AV's response. His response says, static/cambered out American cars are hideous. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a normal take. I think most people would agree with that. Obviously, like JDM, Stance Boys are going to disagree with that because they like that. But I think most guys that are into American cars are going to agree that when you stance out an American car, it just looks stupid. Because the whole point of having an American car is like the freedom of driving wherever you want, having a lot of fun. You know, whenever I think of like classic American cars or car vibes and stuff like that, I just picture like you driving down PCH or whatever with a chick, and then like you pull up on a German car and then like you race the German car. That's what I picture. I picture like the greasers and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know about that one. So this is from Broke Homie Ian. Super and hypercars aren't as cool as everyday sports cars and muscle cars. That's definitely a hot take. I don't know if I say they're not as cool, but I would say that they're overhyped. I think a lot of people do. How am I going to word this? When I was at Monterey Car Week, I didn't care too much for like the supercars or hypercars. Like it was cool driving around and seeing just a casual Bugatti sitting on the side of the road, or seeing a P1 driving, but it's not cool when they're just sitting there, in my opinion. I like being able to drive around and see the cars drive. On the way back, we were driving with we just happened to catch a rally. We weren't like in the rally, but we were just following them kind of. There was the off-road Huracan. There was like a 812 Superfast. There were a handful of 650s and 12Cs, 570. There were a handful of just cool supercars cruising, and I do think that's a lot cooler. Like actually cruising with the cars is cooler than just staring at them, and you just never see these hypercars and supercars really driving. I don't know if I'd say that they're not as cool, or aren't as cool as everyday sports cars and muscle cars. I wouldn't agree with that. I do think they're cool, but they don't do it for me. I'm not like a hardcore supercar enthusiast or hypercar enthusiast. Like, I don't get a brick in my pants when I go to a car event and I see a Koenigsegg just sitting there. I don't get super hard. I think it's cool, and I'll look at it and I'll be like, wow, that is really cool, but what do I care? I'm never going to buy one, so yeah. All right. John MZ3's, or Johan MZ3's response says, static/stance builds might not be everyone's favorite, but there's a lot of work and creativity. And I think that's valid. I have a few friends, a lot of people are surprised. I have friends that have stance cars. I have friends that have cool stance cars. And they have friends that have stance cars. I don't just hate stance cars. I just hate cheap builds. I just hate that. So, yeah, no, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And depending on the car, there might be a lot of custom work that goes into it. Just like when I go and throw the twin turbo kit on this. I'm going to have a Gen 3 Coyote in an S197. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before with a twin turbo kit. I'm going to have to figure some shit out because I'm going to have a one-off kit that may or may not fit this car. It's the same thing with stance cars and static cars. They're slamming out some of these cars and there's not giant aftermarket support. There's no kits for these cars. They're literally fabbing up their own shit. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But if you do it poorly or you have it to where your fucking fuel tank is leaking and shit because you chop some shit, yeah, it's pretty bad. But no, I agree with that. All right. Kevin's response. People who install welds and slicks on a stock 5.0 or any regular V8 are brain dead. Not a hot take. I think most people will agree. There are idiots out there that just throw it on because they think it looks cool. But that's not a hot take. Any actual car enthusiast will tell you that shit's stupid and pointless. So, not a hot take. All right. The 1JZ GTE is the best JDM platform? How are you going to say that? That's from Kai Russ. Kai Russ says the 1JZ GTE is the best JDM platform. I strongly disagree. That is definitely a hot take. Strongly disagree with that. The 2JZ is better in just about every way. It'll handle more power. I believe it's a better flowing head. I might be wrong on that. The GTE or the GE is definitely probably a better flowing head, but the GTE maybe is not. But the 1JZ is nowhere near as good as a 2JZ. And the simple aspect of that is just look at what they're selling for. One is selling for a lot more than the other one. So you can argue that it's underrated or it's a good platform, but saying it is the best JDM platform, no. I would even probably take a 1UZ over a 1JZ. 1JZ is cool, but it is not the best. It is definitely not the best. I would even argue the RB is better. The RB26 is better. I don't know if I'd say an SR. I don't think an SR is. K24, like a K24 can handle a lot of power, man, and they are cheap. Well, you could make the argument that a K24 is the best platform. You can make that argument. I don't think you can make the 1JZ argument. Hellcats are overrated. That's not a hot take. The AMG Lotus Emira with a DCT is a great car. Manual Lotus purists won't agree. I'm not a Lotus purist. I don't even know the car. I can't even picture it. I think I know what it looks like. But yeah, that is from Drew728. So if you're a Lotus purist, go attack him. He said it. All right. VQs are hated on as a trend. No. That's from It's Quisitos. It's Quisito. No, you are wrong. They're not hated as a trend. A lot of people hate them for three simple reasons. One, they sound like dog shit. And a lot of the VQ owners make them sound like dog shit. So you just naturally hate that motor. It's just like Honda guys back in the day. A lot of people hated Hondas because they sounded like dog shit. Nowadays, I feel like Honda guys have grown up. They don't do that shit no more. Secondly, VQs and takeovers go like, white rice and orange chicken. They just go together. I actually don't eat either of those things, so I don't know if they go together. But let's say cheese and bread. Those two go together. I love cheese and bread. So, yeah. VQs, takeovers, bad for the car scene. People hate them. And three, VQ owners. VQ owners are some of the worst car enthusiasts ever. The mods they do are stupid. The events they attend are stupid. And they also seem to be very bad at driving. I know one or two VQ guys that are good drivers and have respectable cars. The rest of them, dog shit. Dog shit. I've never gone to a car meet. I don't want to say never. I have rarely gone to a car meet and been like, that's a clean VQ. That guy's got a cool car. Rarely. I have to be at like an actual car show to say that. I never go to a night event and say that. Never. Absolutely never. So I don't think they're hated on as a trend. I think a lot of people deservingly hate them. CVTs are actually decently goated, but used like shit in the daily cars. Oh, that's from Zach's shop. I don't know if I'd say they're goated, but like there are benefits to them. I believe they're banned from some racing, or maybe most racing, because it just holds you in the power band the whole time. Like if you could build a CVT strong enough to handle your power, you're gonna be in boost or in the power range the whole time. Like that is overpowered as fuck. But I kind of see what he's saying. I mean, I kind of see what he's saying. Goated, but use like shit. I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it. Because, yeah, I get it. I get what he's saying. I don't know if I necessarily agree yet. Feels weird saying that, but I kind of agree. Next one. Oh, wow. Was that all of them, or did my phone just crash? That might have been all of them. That wasn't even that many. What are we at right now? I mean, I probably just have to refresh. We're at 26 minutes. Probably just have to refresh, honestly. There's probably... Oh, yeah, here we go. This is from One Stock's S197, or One Stock S197. It says, carbon fiber hoods and fenders are tacky. I've been saying this forever. A lot of people are definitely coming more around to it, but yeah, when you have a body panel and it does not match the rest of the car, it looks bad. It genuinely looks bad. Like, I like it personally. If you have a carbon fiber fender, you could have some carbon fiber accent on it. You know, let's say this fender, for example, let's say it had a vent. Have the vent be carbon fiber. You can do it tastefully, but leaving it all exposed, it literally looks like you were in a front-end collision. Ask me how I know. I was just in a front-end collision. But yeah, no, if I went out and bought carbon fiber panels for cheap and didn't paint them, that's what it would look like. So I get it. But yeah, good one. All right, from Rare Go-Gettas? Unless you drive a Lambo or something, your car is basic traffic as well. No, I don't think so. I do think there are a lot of basic traffic cars, but I think what I consider basic traffic is $50,000 or less. I think if your car is valued at less than $50,000, it is basic traffic. I think there are some cars over $50,000 that are basic traffic, but for the most part, that's where I draw the line. I think anything less than that. So we're talking Mustang GTs. We're talking Charger RTs, Scat Packs. I don't know what Scat Packs go for, but I don't think they go for more than 50. And if they do, that is a crime. Camaro SSs and below, base model Corvettes, any of these cars less than $50,000, Mark IV Supras, Mark V Supras, my bad. Mark V Supras are definitely more of like a basic traffic car. There's Honda Civics, Type Rs. I would say those are basic traffic cars. But M3s, M4s, Z06s, ZR1s, GT500s, Hellcats, I would not consider those basic traffic cars. Some of them might be more common than the others. Like I do think Hellcats are definitely one of the most common cars on that list. But I would not consider that a basic traffic car. That would be a high-end sports car. So, yeah, that's a bad take right there. Very bad take. 1T Garrett, he said, a lot of people don't know their limits in cars. That's fact. A lot of people think that they're pro drivers, and I mean, I'm even proof of it. I didn't crash doing something stupid, but I crashed doing something so basic that I shouldn't have crashed. And, I mean, again, I guess I wasn't pushing my limits, but that just goes to show. Shit happens. So, yeah, never outdrive your own limits. So, that's a good one. That is a good one. All right, do a few more. 1K Tattoos or T12's response says, Whipple F-150 is greater than Trackhawk. Yeah, I think most race car enthusiasts or like track guys would agree. I think the only people that wouldn't agree are like Mopar fanboys. I think they would be the only people that wouldn't agree with that take. But yeah, Whipple F-150s are better than Trackhawks. Just, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They are the poor man's GTR. Like, you get a Whipple F-150, you got 4 welds all the way around and slicks, you're beating just about everything from a dig. It's not even fair. It's honestly, like, ridiculously overpowered. Stay Sideways 88 says 350Z is just a broke man's G35 coupe. I think they're both like the same price range. I would even argue an HR 350Z is more expensive than a G35 coupe. That's a crazy take. That is definitely a hot take right there. I think most people prefer the 350Z. I definitely prefer the 350Z over a G35. If I had to pick a car to drift, I'm drifting the 350Z. I am. I'm getting the HR and I'm drifting that. That is crazy. Stay Sideways 88. I'm surprised you said that. That is a war crime. That is really bad. All right, he also said, most modern muscle cars are bought by people who never drive them like sports cars. I think most sports cars nowadays just aren't driven like sports cars. You don't know how often I'm cruising on the freeway, and I want to get a fun run-in with something. I mean, the ZR1, I'm usually not in this because it just wouldn't even be fair. But I'm in the ZR1, and there's an M3 or an M4, and I'm like, kind of cruising past it, seeing if he wants to do anything. I might downshift a little bit, and they just don't care. They just don't want to do anything. And it's like, I don't know if it's just they're not in the mood, but like, I feel like most people when they're driving their sports cars are kind of in the mood. So I don't know what the dealio is. Maybe they just save it for the track, and I can 100% respect that. But I feel like a lot of people just don't drive them like sports cars, so that can go for anything. All right, we'll do 3 more. PA9A6's response says, LS swapped the world. I don't think that's a hot take, so we'll just skip that one. All right, from Leafer says, rally is the hardest genre of racing. Ooh. I don't think most people would argue that, but I don't think most people consider it, which is crazy. Because, yeah, 100%. You watch the rally videos on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they are fucking driving. They are doing shit that, like, you can't even comprehend. That and, like, the rally truck shit. Those genres, absolutely insane. Like, flying off-road, it's, like, comparable to, like, boat racing. Like, you just have less control. You are definitely pushing the car harder than road racing or F1. I mean, I would say actually probably F1 is probably harder. But rally is definitely hard. Like rally, for most, like for a normie, I would say, that's definitely hard. I think F1 is a completely different league. But rally, when it comes to, if it's rally, drag racing, or road racing, rally is the hardest. 100%. I would agree. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a really good one. 3V Andy says the 3V sounds better than a Coyote. Ooh. I haven't heard 3 valves lately. I didn't like how mine sounded. Mine sounded pretty good, actually. Later on in its life, I did like how it sounded. But, dude, some Coyotes sound beautiful. I love how my Coyote sounds. I think my Coyote is one of the better sounding Coyotes out there. And I'm not even trying to glaze myself. Like, I don't have a super crazy custom exhaust system. I just have a good exhaust system. A lot of Coyote guys just straight pipe this or throw Corsas on it, and it sounds like shit. These cars do not want Corsas. They sound bad. Borla attacks sound great. I have Magnaflows and some like shorty headers. That sounds great. But once you go long tube, resonator delete, and Corsas, your car sounds like shit. It sounds really bad. 3 valves, I could see the argument though. 3 valves sounding better than Coyote. I think it's harder to F up a 3 valve. I do think so. And last one from GTTM Snooky says Crown Vics are actually great cars that can handle a lot of abuse and still be great dailies. And that is a great take right there. A lot of people sleep on the Crown Vic when it comes to like a fun car. Dude, you could do so much with a Crown Vic. Not only does it have a Mustang 2-valve engine in it, but they can handle abuse. These things are built to essentially be like police cars. Well, they are police cars. But I mean, like, you can go over curbs. You can drive that shit off-roading and stuff. Like, if you want a car that can just about do anything, that is a great car for that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to have the best fuel economy or anything like that, but you are getting one hell of a deal for what you get. So, I agree with that. I think that's a good one to end on. Anyways, guys, remember the questions I asked at the beginning? Podcast, no podcast. Should I have a just friend co-host? Should I have a content creator co-host? Let me know down below. Subscribe. And until next video, peace.